ॐ वर्णानामर्थसङ्घानां रसानां छन्दसामपि मङ्गलानां च कर्तारो वन्दे वाणी विनायकौ उद्भवस्थितिसंहारकारिणीं क्लेशहारिणीं सर्वश्रेयस्करीं सीतां नतोऽहं रामवल्लभाम् यन्मायावशवर्तिं विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुरा यत्सा त्वादमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा हेर्भ्रमः यत्पादप्लवमेकमेव हि भवाम्भोधे स्थितीर्षावताम् वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरं रामाख्यमीशं हरिं रामाख्यमीशं हरिं रामाख्यमीशं हरिम्। नमः सर्वेभ्यः, आप सभी को नमस्कार। और आज की चर्चा में स्वागत है। और जो लोग हमारे सरस्वती सदन ग्रंथालय और श्री माता दरबार मंदिर में व्यक्तिगत रूप से आए हैं और आ रहे हैं, उनका विशेष रूप से स्वागत है। तो राम जन्म भूमि मूवमेंट का एक बहुत माइलस्टोन कह लीजिए, परिणति भी कह सकते हैं, इसी सप्ताह 22 जनवरी को उद्घाटन के साथ हुआ है। नमस्ते। तो उस विषय में थोड़ी हम लोग चर्चा करेंगे। I will speak little bit in English, little bit in Hindi. Okay? But even Hindi, I think most will understand. So I will keep switching between Hindi and English. Now, I have had very great fortune of living for 6 years at this place called Gonda, across the Saryu from the reference of Ayodhya. तो आप राम जन्मभूमि वो पर्पल कलर में देख रहे हैं, वो राम जन्मभूमि है। सरयू के इस पार वो अयोध्या नगर है, और सरयू के उस पार जो नगर है उसको कहते हैं गोंडा। द मैप, दैट्स द मैप ऑफ अयोध्या। You see on the right corner, map of Uttar Pradesh. Ayodhya is towards northeast of Uttar Pradesh, on the banks of Saryu. And other side of Saryu is Gonda, where I lived between 1986 and 1992. That was the time when Rama Janma Bhumi movement also had a lot of events, starting with opening the locks, which happened in 1986 as it happens, on 1st of February 1986. And December 1992, when final Karseva and demolition of the so-called Babari structure happened. So between these two milestones, those are the 6 years which I spent there. So a lot of things happened which I have seen personally up close. And I would have visited Rama Janma Bhumi 100 times, maybe more even. Any small thing happens, we go to Ayodhya. Across the river, it's just, my home was 40 kilometers, less than 40 kilometers from Rama Janma Bhumi. So, as it happened, I have personally been to that Rama Janma Bhumi temple when it looked like this. On the top left, bottom left, you see that mosque structure. I call it mosque, but if you call it mosque back then in Ayodhya, go there and ask for way to Babari Masjid, they will beat you up. They'll say, call it Rama Janma Bhumi. So I have visited that place when it looked like what you see on the left bottom. And then you could not go inside. So you see that big gate kind of structure, right? You could not enter that gate. Inside, Bhagwan is there. There is an iron gate. From behind the iron gate, you have to see Bhagwan. From a distance.
From a distance.
Small Bhagwan you can see only.
From outside?
From outside you have to see Bhagwan. You cannot go inside. So I have seen that situation also. Then I have seen the days when you could go inside the structure and you will feel so awkward. Bhagwan is sitting in this ugly building. It was very ugly building. This building is very ugly. And then I have seen the Kar Seva. When it happened, I was in high school. First Kar Seva. Great. And then I had just left um, Gonda, when this final Kar Seva, which demolished that ugly structure, but get the feeling of what for centuries Hindus would have felt. You have to transport yourself to, say, 100 years back. Go 100 years back. 100 years back,
British era.
in the British era, just to imagine the feeling of Hindus when they visited that place. See, in Ayodhya, millions of Hindus every year in the Kartik month in the early winters, they go for something called Panchakoshi Yatra or Parikrama. Panchakosi also it is. 5 course. One course is roughly 3 kilometers. And 3 kilometers, about 16-kilometer circumference of all the important tirthas. They start at Ganeshji's temple. They end finally very nearby, which is Rama Janma Bhumi, Ramakot. They finally reach Ramakot and do the Namaskar. Then a bigger Parikrama, which also starts at the same location and ends at the same location, but it is bigger. It was 14 Koshi, Chaturdash Koshi Parikrama, which is 14 times 3 kilometers. And then Chaurasi Koshi, which is even bigger, which only very devout Hindus, especially sadhus and sannyasis, undertake. That's actually very big, almost 250-kilometer circumference. But imagine in that city of Ayodhya, where they finished that parikrama, which takes a lot of effort, they stand in front of this ugly building. Look at the building on the right, by the way. That is how Babri Masjid, so-called, used to look in 1910. Very well maintained, by the way. This picture is from British Museum by a British officer in 1910s. So from there, in 1910s, it reached this shape, what you see on the bottom left. And there is this big things that happened between that time and between 1800s, actually 1858 to 1940s. That difference you see is Purusharth of Hindus. It was so well maintained, masjid, you see on the right hand side. Yeah. From there it reached here, and from there it disappeared in our own time. That journey people should know. What I want to focus on is two things. Number one, history of the movement. And number two, remembering the forgotten heroes. We all, it's a natural human tendency. We remember people of our own time. But there have been so many sacrifices of known and unknown heroes, Hindus. Today, I want to remember them also. Sometimes, again, it's a difficult story, and especially to compress everything in 1 hour is very difficult. There is political battle, which we are generally aware of. There is legal battle, we are somewhat aware of, but nuances many people do not know. And then there is social and grassroots local movement, which very few people know about. So with those two purposes that I mentioned before, history of movement and remembering the forgotten heroes. So we, of course, know that the first court case in the official records happened right after the first Indian independence revolution in 1857. Right immediately after 1857, Awadh state, which till then was ruled by Nawabs of Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal and all these people, they fought against British. British won ultimately. And in 1958, British became owners of Ayodhya. Entire Awadh. Nihang, there is a sect within Sikhs called Nihangs. They are horse riding warriors. They went there, they captured that place, they went inside, they performed Havan. And they wrote Ram, 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 Ram all over the walls. And the Mutwalli is a Muslim officer. Mutwalli of that place, he filed a FIR in the British police. These Hindu sadhus have occupied this place. allow us to once again recapture things like those. So in the statement, he doesn't refer to that as Babri Masjid. He calls it Janmasthan. So it was like this at that time, what you see on the right hand side. Soon after that, one sadhu, he filed a case, a Vaishnava sadhu, he filed a case saying it is our Rama Janma Bhumi. We should have unfettered right to worship there. So the judge has written, British judge has written that we agree that Babar demolished that temple and built a mosque here, but we cannot go back 350 years. Back then it was 350. It is very sad that Hindus who treat that place as such an important center of their religion, they do not have a temple there. I will allow a Chabutara, you continue your worship there, but I'm not going to allow you to build some other structure. Status quo. In 1930s, there was one very miraculous Pahalwan sadhu who was a Pahalwan before. His name is Baba Abhiram Das. In 1930, he came from Bihar. He came to Ayodhya. He was back then very young, in late 20s or early 30s. He is the first one in the modern times, near about our times. His picture you see on the left hand side, Baba Abhiram Das. He started a renewed movement. By force, I will capture the mandir for ourselves, for Hindus. And he was a Pahalwan, like I said, very militant. He was from an akhada called Digambar Akhada. Yeah. Digambar Akhada. Not Jain, no. Vaishnava. They are all Ramanandis. Digambar Akhada. So you might ask, what are these akhadas?
No. Akhada is a congregation of saints, right? Yeah. So it is
Akhada is a place where usually those wrestlers, they meet and practice.
That is not akhada.
Actually, that is akhada.
Yeah, that is akhada, but then
that is the original akhada. Akhada is where wrestlers meet.
Correct.
जहाँ पे पहलवान कुश्ती करते हैं उस जगह को अखाड़ा कहते हैं.
अखाड़ा कहा जाए. अखाड़ा वही है. अब क्या हुआ, शंकराचार्य जी ने, आदि शंकराचार्य जी ने दशनामी सन्यासियों की परंपरा आरंभ की. दशनामी ऑर्डर. And he established 4 mathas in the 4 corners of India, 4 pithas and 4 mathas. Pitha, matha, slightly difference is there. In these 4, purpose was to spread dharma, Vedika dharma. So Sringeri in South India, in Eastern India, Jagannath Puri, in West at Dwaraka, and in North in Himalayas at Joshimath or Jyotirmatha. Not near Kedarnath, near Badrinath actually. Joshimath town itself is called Joshimath. These 4 places. And then there are other pithas also he established, but these 4 were main pithas. Then he established 10 orders of sannyasis. They are called 10 because they carry specific name. For example, Saraswati, Tirtha, Vana, Bharati, Parvata, like that. So that list of 10. So he organized sannyasis in 10 different lines. These 10 were affiliated to these 4 pithas that I mentioned. Good so far? Their purpose is to spread dharma. Now, one thing unique happened only in North India. It did not happen in South. Because of the very unique historical reasons when Muslims started attacking, to protect the temples, to protect the pilgrims who are going to tirthas, especially melas like Kumbh Mela, Pushkar Mela, etc. Muslims used to loot them, attack them. There are a lot of historical records. So these sannyasis, they became militant. They picked up arms. They developed the discipline of bodybuilding as well.
like Shaolin monks.
Yes, Shaolin monks, you can say. You can compare. Yes. So they started picking up arms and actually fighting. And in down up to the British times. So, for example, Bankim Chandra's novel Anand Matha. Bankim Chandra wrote Anand Matha, from which Vande Mataram song comes. Anand Matha, and Anand is one of the akhadas. There is an akhada called Ananda Akhada. It's in reality. So there are 7 such akhadas which were developed by the Dashanamis. All are in North India. You might have heard Juna Akhada.
Now they have Kinnara Akhada.
Oh, that's a new one added. But Juna Akhada you have heard.
Yeah.
In fact, these sannyasins who were martyred in Maharashtra some time back, Palghar sannyasis, they were members of Dashanami Juna Akhada. Same Juna Akhada. So this was started by the Shankara's Parampara sometime in the Middle Ages. But the same tradition was also picked up by other sampradayas also. For example, Ramanandis. Ramanandacharya, it is said that he brought bhakti from south to North India. There is a saying in Vaishnava texts, Bhakti Upaji Dravidi Laye Ramanand Kabira Tahi Prakasiya Sat Dweep Nau Khand. That Ramanand, so bhakti originated in Dravida in Tamil Nadu, original bhakti movement. It was brought to North India by a saint called Ramananda. This Ramananda, he started one of the largest followers of Sampradaya in our time, one of the largest would be Ramananda Sampradaya. They developed their own akhadas as well. They had to fight so many battles to protect temples. Right. So some of these Digambara akhada, of which Baba Abhiram Das belonged, he belongs to Ramananda Sampradaya. Parallel, different. Tulsidas ji belonged to same Ramananda Sampradaya as well. Nirmohi akhada, another akhada, is also Ramananda Sampradaya akhada. But akhada is originally Palwan only, bodybuilders. These were sannyasis who did that for the purpose of that contemporary times. Now, Baba Abhiram Das, he started the movement. In 1934, there was a huge riot in Ayodhya. And sadhus captured that mosque completely. They destroyed all many things, including 2 inscriptions. There were 2 inscriptions which are mentioned by British people at a very old time. And a wife of a British officer, the lady was a historian, Mrs. Beveridge. She has written, she was a historian. So she has written details of that inscription, citing another British officer who was locally posted in Ayodhya. But in 1934, those 2 inscriptions were destroyed by sadhus, akhada. Those inscriptions actually recorded that Babar had built that. One of the key evidence was that inscription. Muslims replaced that inscription with a new inscription after the riots. That became a very important legal point. Finally, in the victory of the case in favor of Hindus in 2010 in Allahabad High Court. But going back, so that was one person, Baba Abhiram Das. We have to remember him. Another very important person is Thakur Guru Dutt Singh. Thakur Guru Dutt Singh was a PCS officer. So there is IAS, Indian Administrative Services, and there is Provincial Civil Services. So they become Tahsildar and state government people. State government's officer thing. So in 1930, at the same time, this person, that time a very young man, he, I think, was from Allahabad. He passed that exam and he was posted in Ayodhya for some time. And he was a very religious person. He used to take holidays and come to Ayodhya, live in a khada, do satsanga with sadhus, live there. And he used to feel pained just like any other Hindu would feel pain. I was telling you, you do parikrama and ultimately you stand and prostrate in front of what looks like a mosque. You cannot even properly worship. This pained Thakur Guru Dutt Singh. And Guru Dutt Singh was not an ordinary person. He was a PCS officer. Ultimately, he was the Ayodhya's, Faizabad's city magistrate. He was posted later on, not at that time. And if you talk to his family, they still live in that area. Tell you about commitment Guru Dutt Singh, Thakur Guru Dutt Singh gave to this, I will establish mandir. I mentioned 1930s. We are in 1930s of the movement, where 2 individuals have, there are hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of Hindus who have that desire. But 2 leaders emerge. One is Baba Abhiram Das and another is Thakur Guru Dutt Singh.
So when Baba Abhiram Das captured, the entire structure, right? So was that local government took it back?
So one thing you should know is Muslims have not done any namaz and all that for a very, 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 very long time. In the recorded history, Muslims have not done namaz in that so-called Babri Masjid.
Right.
Hindus would not allow.
Um,
There are records, British records, which say that whenever any Muslim tries to go there for namaz, they beat him up. So order was passed, but not implemented. So Hindus in 18, not in, since at least recorded history in 1858. We say 1858 because recorded history, authentic,
Yeah.
by British people is available since then.
Mm.
Before that, it was Nawab of Lucknow's rule. There were riots even before then. Hindus are very strong. So order was passed by British that let inside the mosque something be there, but perhaps a mutawalli or one or two Muslim may go there. Jumma. Ordinary Muslims, Hindus would not let them go near that structure. And number two, since the police, British police said that Hindus can worship outside that mosque area, they constructed what is called Chabutra, Ram Chabutra. They didn't actually, I should take that back. They did not construct Ram Chabutra at that time. It existed. Why? Because Guru Gobind Singh and his father, Guru Tegh Bahadur Dev Ji, they both visited Ayodhya. In fact, Guru Nanak also visited Ayodhya. But in Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji's written records, Guru Gobind Singh says, I worshipped at Ram Chabutra, Janmasthan Chabutra. So where would he have worshipped in Guru Gobind Singh Ji's time? So Chabutra existed, this shrine existed, and which is why Nihangs attacked later, which is why all the Vaishnava and all different akhadas, not just Ramanandis, all akhadas, they would keep on attacking, getting it back. So Muslims give up that, okay, who cares, it's okay. That was the situation in 1930s. Then what happened? India got independence in 1947. People forget that immediately after independence, we actually did free up many of these important shrines. For example, immediately after independence, in November of 1947, Somnath construction started. And I give you another example, very important example, which less people know about. In Devagiri is one of the most important forts, capital of Yadava kingdom, up to 13th century. Also called Daulatabad, where it is the same fort which was renamed by Tughlaq as Daulatabad, and he was moving his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. So it's a huge place. I was there actually 3 weeks back. So there was a temple, Chandi temple. Devi Ji's temple was there. Yadavas had built it. And as natural, Muslims had turned it into a mosque. Within 1 month of, now this was in Hyderabad, Nizam's control. When Hyderabad became India, Hyderabad, you all know the history of how Hyderabad was forced to join India. Junagadh, I said Somnath, Hyderabad joined India. This was under Hyderabad, Nizam. Aurangabad was his second capital. Within 1 month, K.M. Munshi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel turned this into a mandir. Today there is a Devi mandir there. No Muslim can go there and offer namaz. Silently done, nothing. Our Indian army priest went and did Prana Pratishtha. Got a local artist to make a murti of Devi. Now it is called Bharat Mata Mandir. And it's a beautiful, they didn't remodel it because it is, you look at the pillars, you look at the surroundings, it's temple. So you got Somnath, you got this, these are important temples. Why should we not get Rama Janma Bhumi, very important temple? So after independence, indeed, that is what Hindus felt. So immediately after independence, few things happened. In March month, near about March is my estimation, of 1949, one very important thing happened. 3 important people met, and I will keep going back to the place called Gonda, the heart center of this movement. I will keep reminding you of that thing. 3 people met in Gonda, very important people. Who were they? One was Swami Karpatriji Maharaj. How many of you have heard his name? You've not?
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Little bit.
Swami Karpatriji Maharaj also called Dharma Samrat. He was one of the most prolific Vedika scholars of last century. Very extremely learned. He is guru of Shankaracharya's, meaning Puri Acharya, today's Puri Shankaracharya, is disciple of Karpatri ji. And he was very influential. He founded Rama Janma Parishad in 40s itself for raising the Hindu issues in the politics. And after independence, people know less about it. In states like Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, this party, Rama Janma Parishad, founded by Karpatri ji, and he was alive at that time, it was the main political party against Congress. It was the main opposition party even in the Vidhan Sabha. So for a minute, digest that fact. Rama Janma Parishad of Karpatri ji, Maharaj, Rama Janma Parishad. Remember this name because we forgot these things. Was the main opposition party in the Vidhan Sabha of Rajasthan. Later, it got merged in Jan Sangh. That's another thing. But Karpatri ji, number one. Number two, Mahant Digvijay Nath ji, who is Parama Guru or Dada Guru of current head of Nath Sampradaya and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mahant Shri Adityanath ji. So Mahant Shri Digvijay Nath ji was Guru of Adityanath ji. He was head of all the Nath Sampradaya, another militant Sampradaya, just like Ramanandis, just like Dashanamis, of which Karpatri ji also belongs. So Digvijay Nath ji, Karpatri ji, they both went and met the most wealthy and powerful king of the region, king of Balarampur. Balarampur is a riyasat in Gonda. Back then Gonda, now Balarampur is a different district. In entire Uttar Pradesh, biggest riyasat was Balarampur. Richest and biggest, wealthiest, most powerful. It had its own army and so on. So the king of Balarampur, Maharaja Pateshwari Prasad Singh, his name should be taken with a lot of respect. He had donated so much for Hindu causes, including construction of Banaras Hindu University. So they thought of a few steps. There is a person called Karuna Karan Nair or KK Nair. He was district magistrate of Gonda. When this meeting happened, when Karpatri ji and Digvijay Nath ji went to Maharaja of Balrampur, district magistrate who had good relations with Maharaja, in June of 1949, March this meeting happened, June he was transferred to Faizabad. June 49 he was transferred to Faizabad.
Part of the strategy.
It's a strategy. June of 1949 he gets transferred, and at that time his subordinate, the actual person who has been leading, is this person, Thakur Gurudutt Singh, already in Ayodhya. He lives in Ayodhya.
That PCS.
It's all setting the things in motion silently to get things done. Remember this. So three sannyasis names have come so far, and one political leader, you can say, and two administrative officers so far in the movement. Who are the sannyasis? Three sannyasis I named. One is Baba Abhiram Das of Ramanandi Sampradaya. One is Mahant Digvijay Nath ji of Nath Sampradaya. And one is Swami Karpatri ji, Shankaracharya Parampara. These three came together. Completely different Sampradayik Parampara. They came together. Two administrative officers who sacrificed their career for it.
KK Nair.
Karuna Karan Nair, and I will talk about him more. And second is Thakur Gurudutt Singh. And who is political person? Maharaja of Balrampur. Maharaja Pateshwari Prasad Singh. Now, no? Okay. I told you that he was transferred in June, and he was transferred on purpose. Maharaja probably, we can make some conjectures. Maharaja was a powerful person, and he was a Congress and Hindu Mahasabha, both good contacts he had. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, interim, yet official constitution had not been done. But Govind Ballabh Pant was the biggest UP leader. Very Hindutvavadi person. Okay. Hindutva was in politics in general. Even a lot of Congress people were very strong Hindutva people. Govind Ballabh Pant is one of them. Pant had a hand in getting Nair to the district magistrate of Faizabad in June of 1949. Then what happened? He was only 41-year-old, very young, 41-year-old IAS officer. His mother, he's a Malayali, he was from South India, he is a Kerala person. Huh? His native town is Alappi in Kerala, Travancore. His mother visited him in Faizabad. His mother visited. So just like any other pilgrim who will come, he arranged her to go around the temples. So she went for snan in Saryu, did the darshan of temples, and went to Rama Janma Bhumi. Like I said, parikramas are there. One of the parikrama is Ramakot parikrama, the smallest one. And then even smaller one is Antargraha parikrama. So if you don't have time, in half an hour you can do Ramakot parikrama. She did that. She came home and raged. She was very angry. She said, book my ticket. I'm going. I cannot live here. You are district magistrate and Bhagwan's Murti is not properly worshipped. Shame on you. He writes later that my mother told me, we spent money. He studied in London. Very learned person. We are very ordinary family. We got money to get you to London to study. You became district magistrate. And you can't do this. Then few things happened. Another anecdote you should remember is Thakur Gurudat Singh and Baba Abhiram Das. I already told they were both at the same time there, that they both used to have exactly same dream. Not allegorical dream, actual dream. Bhagwan Ram used to appear in their dream. They both, when they met for the first time, he's a sannyasi and he's an officer. Officer told sannyasi, I told you he used to live in the matha, etc. for once a year at least. So he once went and said, Babaji, a dream comes to me, recurringly. And the dream is that Bhagwan Ram is sitting in that mosque. Babaji said, I also get exact same dream. That Bhagwan Ram, not Murti, Bhagwan Ram is sitting in that mosque. And not once or twice. He repeats, that dream keeps coming. So when in 1949, these things came together. Nair came to Faizabad. Nair met Gurudat Singh and Abhiram Das. They said, let that dream become real now. Let that dream of Bhagwan Ram being inside that building become real. And that is what happened. This is the original Ramalala. This Murti you see, this Vigraha, is Ramalala that appeared. They insisted we didn't place it there. It has appeared. We only made it possible. But this is a Murti which appeared. On the midnight, actually past midnight, at 3 a.m. in the morning of, date had changed, the night between December 22nd and December 23rd. And detailed planning was done. Baba Digvijay Nath Ji, Mahant Ji, himself was there in Ayodhya that night. With, now Nathas there, the most fierce warriors. He came with a troop of his own sannyasis. Abhiram Das Ji himself, a Pahalwan, he had his troops. And police was under control of these two officers. The guards were both Hindus and Muslims, guards of the mosque. I'm calling it mosque just for, convenience. Later, even the Muslim guard, whose duty was at that time at 3 a.m., it was a Muslim guard's duty. He gave a statement in the morning that I did not see anybody entering. Suddenly I saw light. There was light. Light appeared. I saw Bhagwan Ram's, this Ramalala there in a cradle. And sannyasis suddenly appeared. Who are these sannyasis? These were Baba Abhiram Das and Digvijay Nath Ji's troops. And they were singing bhajans. Bhai Prakat Kripala, Deen Dayala, Kaushalya Hitkari. And that's it. It became Hindu overnight. It was always Hindu, but now Bhagwan appeared there. And then next day onwards, Hindus started flocking. Then what happened? See, this fight will always have three different dimensions. Individual, social, from the grassroots actors, like the people we spoke about, political angle and legal angle. So they are intermixed and we need to talk about them. Pandit Nehru immediately sent a telegram and called up Govind Ballabh Pant, who was then Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Who was the Home Minister? Police came under Home Minister. Who was the Home Minister of Uttar Pradesh? Lal Bahadur Shastri, who later became the Prime Minister. He was the Home Minister of Uttar Pradesh. And both Nair and police officer, they reported under him. Pant didn't do anything. Nehruji said, remove that Ramlala from there and revert back to status quo. Didn't do anything. Then he corresponded with Shastriji. Shastriji said, I can't do anything, I'm helpless. They passed the resolution, something we'll do. But Nair was given a free hand. Nehru's PMO initiated inquiry against Nair and Singh both. Gurudatta Singh and Karunakaran Nair. Dereliction of duty. But by the time things, they resigned. They both resigned. They didn't go through that inquiry. They say, we resigned from PCS, we resigned from IAS. And we had important leaders like Charan Singh. Charan Singh was in Congress at that time and very extremely Hindutva person. More Hindutva than our contemporary BJP people, I have no hesitation to say. He went in 1948, met Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in Delhi, took an appointment. He was Home Minister. He thought Charan Singh has come to meet me for some Congress politics. He is a junior, very junior guy. He said, you go meet Pant. He was Secretary of Pant at that time. Charan Singh was Secretary of Pant. He said, no, I want to meet you. So Patel gave him 15 minutes, maybe some Congress politics. Charan Singh went with 10 or 15 MLAs, Congress MLAs from Uttar Pradesh. He said, I have come not to talk about Congress politics. I have three things I want to tell you. Number one, UP police and army in general should be freed from Muslims. There are too many Muslims who during the partition riots have helped Muslim League. So you need to do something, and very explosive kind of things, other things which I don't get to do. But here at this time in Congress in Uttar Pradesh, GB Pant, Shastri, Charan Singh, these kind of people are there. So nothing happened to Ramlala. Ramlala Virajman continued to be Virajman at that place. Then legal battle started. I mean, legal battle was going on since 1858, many cases, small, big. But 1950s, these became high profile. K.K. Nair, who resigned from IAS after having accomplished what he did, he was in still 42-year-old. So he said, I want to study law. For fighting this case, he took admission in LLB. Can you imagine? Very learned man, he studied other things, but now he took admission in Allahabad University to study law. Next 6-7 years, he studied law. He was recently married. When his mother had visited Ayodhya, he was recently married, a lady called Shakuntala. Shakuntala Bisht, who became Shakuntala Nair. Shakuntala Bisht joined Hindu Mahasabha. I mentioned Ram Rajya Parishad. Now I am taking name Hindu Mahasabha. President of Hindu Mahasabha at that time, national president. National president was Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Jansangh didn't exist at that time. Jansangh came in 1952. 1952. Hindu Mahasabha. Okay, 1949-48. Actually, I should correct something. After Gandhi murder, split in Hindu Mahasabha started. But still, they were all, group was Hindu Mahasabha. After Shyama Prasad Mukherjee left Hindu Mahasabha, the president became Mahant Digvijaynath, international president.
He was also MP.
He was MP.
He used to go on horse in Parliament.
He was MP. He was MP. He before he became sannyasi, he was a Kshatriya from Rajasthan. And, then his disciple and guru of current Mahantji, Mahant Avaidyanath, he also was MP for many times from Hindu Mahasabha ticket. He was not BJP, do not confuse. He joined BJP 1989 or 91, I think 91. Until then, they were not Jansangh, they were not BJP. And these nuances you should understand, political nuances. The wife, Shakuntala Nair, She contested Lok Sabha election in 1952. First Lok Sabha election happened in 1952.
Right.
She contested. From where? Anybody?
Hyderabad.
No.
Hyderabad.
Close, but not Faizabad. I keep saying I go back to Gonda. Why do you? If I ask which place, you can keep telling where.
Gonda.
Okay, Gonda. So I keep saying because I lived for 6 years in Gonda. During that time when I saw movement, so even things which happened before have connection with Gonda. I told you the meeting of those three important people who planned everything was Gonda. DM of Gonda was Nair, who was transferred with some conspiracy, some plan to Faizabad. He sent his wife. Mahantji himself campaigned for Shakuntala Nair and she won with record votes. But Gonda had 3 Lok Sabha seats at that time. One was Balarampur, one was Kaisarganj, one was Gonda. She contested Kaisarganj Lok Sabha seat. Today Kaisarganj is, it went to Bahraich district, but MP is Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, notorious or famous, whatever you call, famous for some and notorious for some. But it was that seat in Gonda, Kaisarganj, which is now in Bahraich. She won. And then she won from Hindu Mahasabha, I tell you. Hindu Mahasabha had 4 seats in that Lok Sabha. Jansangh bana tha. 52 they contested. 52 election में बन गया था. Mukherjee himself contested. 51 में बन गया था Jansangh. More than Jansangh.
And then
Hindu Mahasabha.
second seat was also from Prajapati Parishad.
Ramraja Parishad.
Dograji.
Ramraja Parishad.
Jammu.
I will come to him also. Dograji also I will come to.
Dograji and
see, the Jansangh candidates, if you see, I don't want to digress too much. They were VIPs. They won on their own base. Who knew Shakuntala Nair? So on whose base she won? By popular sentiment she won. And 3 times she was MP. And then Hindu Mahasabha people, like I said, went to Jansangh. And Ramraja Parishad also went to Jansangh. So she also joined Jansangh, and twice she was MP from Janasangh also. Okay. And then at that time, imagine the wife is MP and husband is studying law. He is a student. He resigned from IAS. He became student, studied law. For what? For contesting this battle in the court. Imagine the dedication. And then what did Gurdatta Singh do? Gurdatta Singh became activist. He moved to Ayodhya. I said he was from Allahabad, lived in Ayodhya, continued. And he created, along with 2 other people who I will now mention, something called Sri Rama Janma Bhumi Seva Samiti. So like we have, after Vishnu Parishad came into being, we have Rama Janma Bhumi Nyas, right? That is the umbrella body for this. That time, they created something called Rama Janma Bhumi Seva Samiti. Blessings of Karpatri ji. Karpatri ji said, don't do this politics directly, Hindu Mahasabha and all that. Or Ramraja Parishad also is party, right? That is electoral things. Here, let sadhus and ordinary people be the leader of the movement. So 2 new people come into picture now. One is called Gopal Singh Visharad and other is Ramachandra Paramhans. Ramachandra Paramhans was a sadhu. And another important person, Gopal Singh Visharad. He originally belonged to where? Which place he could belong to? Gonda. Gopal Singh Visharad, his house, ancestral house, is not even 2 kilometers from my grandparents' place. His son, retired bank officer, I don't know, Rajendra Singh ji, SBI branch manager of Gonda. So anyway, he moved to Ayodhya. Both of them, they actively, and he was president of Hindu Mahasabha, district president. And he was the one who first case who filed in the court. I think in 1951. No, in 1950, December murtis are placed. Within 20 days, he lodges a case saying that Hindus should have unfettered right to worship there. And he was the first litigant, you can say. Okay. And Ramachandra Paramhans ji, he lived a very, very long life. And he saw many events even in 80s. Up to recently, he passed away recently. Passed away recently. Kar Seva and all that, he was the main leader. And then Karpatri ji's line also continued up to now in this movement. Remember that It is very extremely unfortunate that we give them bad name now. Shankaracharyas have been bad-mouthed very badly by Hindus in last 1-2 weeks itself. But always remember, Karpatri ji, whose student, whose disciple is the Shankaracharya of Puri today, he had and his lineage had very, very important role throughout in the movement. So I'll come further. How are we doing on time? So, okay, so one thing, I had promised samosas and chai. And for online people, you can bring your own samosa, bring your own chai.
I got other sort.
Okay, so okay, so we'll brew tea in few minutes. All right. Fast forward to 80s now. So this battle, legal battle started, continued. Okay. 80s. Remember, 56. Again, I can go into nitty-gritties also. 1956, for the first time, full-fledged title suit was filed. Title suit means it is our property. You evict everybody else. Up to 1956, Hindus were fighting for right to worship that at that place. In 1956, same Bisharad ji and another sannyasi filed a suit in Faizabad court. This place belongs to Hindus. Nobody else should be here, and we will build a grand temple. Give us that land. This case was filed in 1956. By the way, when the Ramlala appeared, what was the Muslim reaction? Any guess? What did Muslims do? In 1949, 22nd December, when Ramlala appeared, Muslims did not do anything. Huh? Right?
That's what they will say it's not true or something.
I told you one Muslim, that was the guard who himself gave a testimony that Ram has himself appeared. He gave a written testimony in front of court. Of course, his bosses were these people, but he gave a testimony, written. 20 other Muslims of local Muslims of Ayodhya, 2020, have a written affidavit in court. Of course, you can imagine Nayar and Gurdatta Singh were controlling city. 20 gave a written affidavit. We have no objection. It is Bhagwan Ram's Mandir only. If Hindus want to worship there, we have no objection whatsoever. Let them worship. One Muslim, his name was Ansari, came later. Ansari was a tailor whose son and grandson, they have been fighting the case. I am forgetting the name, but he was टीन का बक्सा बनाता था वो. टीन का जो कनस्तर होता है ना, कनस्तर की दुकान थी उसकी. In 1949, he was the one Muslim, only Muslim, who lodged an FIR that this thing has happened and they have captured and things like those. He was sent off to Pakistan. Whole family packed off to Pakistan, disappeared.
Wow.
They are where they are now, and his descendants are nobody knows. He was one Muslim, and his name I knew. We, in celebrating this great moment, forget those little events, texture of time. Remember, one litigant only who came forward, he went for Pakistan, never appeared again. And then 20 these Muslims of Ayodhya, they have written testimony that we have no objection to Hindus taking this place, worshipping Bhagwan there. Very flowery language even. Guard, who was a Muslim, he said Bhagwan appeared himself. Gurdat Singh was city magistrate of Ayodhya, and district magistrate of entire Faizabad was Nayar. Under them, all this happened. Now, by the way, other Muslim parties were there. There is a Pheku, rich person in Ayodhya. Real name. He fought case. There are other Muslims, Ansari he mentioned. There was a tailor then who was coached by big Muslim people. But by the way, these legal battles, they have passed on from generation to after Visharad died. Visharad died. His son continued to fight. So Muslim also, Ansari he says. M.A. Ansari, his name I think is. Now, going back, very important but small, but 1961, Muslims filed a title suit as well. Has a very crucial point which was used by Hindu party High Court. If, let's say, you own a building, somebody else comes and starts living there, you have certain time period in which you have to object. If you don't, that place becomes other person's.
Or
So, general law, that period is 12 years. You have 12 years. Okay. But a brilliant lawyer called P.N. Mishra, senior advocate, P.N. Mishra. I'll come to P.N. Mishra in detail. That in Awadh case law, that duration is 6 years, not 12 years.
No.
And he brought just one example when it was actually implemented also in a property case. And Allahabad High Court, they agreed with him that 6 years should apply. It is so 6 years, and therefore Muslims. That's one reason why Muslims law. There are other reasons also. 1975 to 1979, in fact, during emergency time also, when Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, Archaeological Survey of India head was Professor B.B. Lal. And Professor B.B. Lal, he wanted to do excavation or archaeology of Ramayana and archaeology of Mahabharata. He was the grandfather of all Indian archaeology, current archaeology, modern archaeology. So for 5 years, he went to Ayodhya to do excavations. And he informed the political people what he has found. He published a book, I think in 1980. It is called Archaeology of Ramayana. It was an explosive book, explosive not in popular sense, but scholarly sense. He unearthed the basement of that temple. He dug just 5 meters away from that Babri wall, and he found some amazing things. He said there are 16 intact Kasauti Patthar pillars. Kasauti Patthar is a black stone, very, very high value stone, which is not found anywhere in 200 or 250 kilometer radius of Ayodhya. So his conclusion was, first, many things, but he said this stone was brought from somewhere else to craft these beautiful pillars. So it's an important temple. That's why somebody will import the stone. Otherwise, red stone or sandstone, other stone, local thing. And gave other proofs to prove that it is actually a temple. So scholars, historians, they came to know, and politicians, including Indira Gandhi, came to know. Indira Gandhi stopped that excavation in 1980, suppressed it. 2 Congress people. Number 1, Gulzari Lal Nanda, who has been interim prime minister twice. He has been prime minister, and he got Bharat Ratna also. And second is Karan Singh Ji Dogra, Maharaja Karan Singh Ji. Both were in Congress. All their life. I mean, Congress I or Congress O or some Congress, but Congress. In 1982-83, they both, multiple occasions, said Rama Janma Bhumi should be made. So you can see that political people, I should say, not politics, political people started taking interest in this. 83, Vishwa Hindu Parishad existed already since 60s, but dormant. 83, Vishwa Hindu Parishad started some activities. Ekatmata Yatra was started in 83. Okay. Mahant Avedinath Ji. And there is another saint, Devaraha Baba. Some of you might have heard his name, Devaraha Baba, very miraculous Baba.
live on tree.
He used to live on raised machan. He never.
Never get down on earth.
So there was a Dharma Sansada organized. Devaraha Baba was president of that Dharma Sansada. All important sannyasis were there. Avedinath was the main brain behind it. They all declared that we want Rama Janma Bhumi. Rajiv Gandhi came to power in 1984. He became Prime Minister. 84, right? General knowledge, everybody knows that Shah Bano case happened. And but slow down and understand the texture of time. Rajiv Gandhi, in 1986, started something else people do not pay generally attention to. Ramayana serial on TV, on Doordarshan. It came when Congress was ruling, right? Can you really see that on a state television? There was no private television then, right? 86, Ramayana serial is being telecast, and it was again under Rajiv Gandhi that Mahabharata serial also was telecast. And not just telecast. Ramanand Sagar was approached by Chief Secretary of Ministry of Information Broadcasting,
Okay.
SS Gill, his name was. And there were all seculars in the ecosystem, right? Father of this lady, what is that NDTV lady? Wife of another.
Sagarika.
Sagarika Ghosh's father. He was head of Doordarshan. But all objections were overruled because political will was there. So Rajiv Gandhi allowed or promoted even Ramayana. There was a Ramayana Mela which was organized in Ayodhya. Ramayana Mela, huge event. All sadhu sannyasis were brought. It was government event. And Chief Minister, who was Veer Bahadur Singh, he inaugurated that Mela. So this thing happened in December, this Ramayana Mela. On January 20, Ramayana Mela happened in 1985, December. 1986, January 22nd, a lawyer, local lawyer of Ayodhya or Faizabad, his name is Umesh Chandra Pandey. He files a case in the local court, Faizabad court, saying that why that door is locked, it should be opened. 22nd January, he files the petition. On the 1st of February, which is within 1 week, hearing was there. I mean, do you think that hearing happens within 7 days of your filing a petition for something which is not urgent? Was it urgent to open the door, which was locked for so many years since 1949? In 86, somebody files a petition in a local court and is given hearing within 7 days. In the afternoon, in fact, I should have a picture, very interesting picture. On 1st of February of 1986, Faizabad Session Court hearing happens, which lasts less than 2 hours. Picture is, local news reported that there is a beautiful monkey sitting on top of the judges, the court's top roof. And pictures were there in the Hindi newspapers of that time. And he kept very still. Monkeys, they don't 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they will move. He kept still, holding the Indian national flag, which was on top of the court. 2 hours that hearing lasted, only 2 hours. In which district magistrate of Faizabad and superintendent of police of Faizabad both personally appeared. PIL filed by a local lawyer in session court of Faizabad. Date given within 7 days of the petition filed. Hearing happens. In the hearing, district magistrate and superintendent of police both appeared. They don't appear. They don't have to. They were, they can send somebody. Judge asks him, if we open the doors, will there be any legal repercussions? Will law and order repercussions? And they say one sentence, no, everything is fine. We have enough police. No problem. And less than 2 hours, judge orders open the gate. Locks gone. 1st February 1986. Now, if you believe that it doesn't have any political hand behind it, some political hand behind it. In the same year, 1986, within, I think, July, 4 or 5 months, Ramayana serial starts. Within few months, Shilanyas demand was made by sadhu sannyasis. It is granted. They are given a land to do a Shilanyas. Not only that, Home Minister of India goes and attends the Shilanyas. Bhuta Singh. Bhuta Singh was at that time Home Minister. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi was going to attend as well. Something happened. And then in 1989, when the election started, which Rajiv Gandhi lost, VP Singh came after that. Do you know which city did Rajiv Gandhi start his national campaign for Lok Sabha 1989 election? Okay, this time it is not Gonda. It is Faizabad. Ayodhya didn't have big enough ground. So he starts his national election campaign from Faizabad. And in that speech, Rajiv Gandhi mentions Rama Rajya, that we are fighting for Rama Rajya. Now, 89 election he lost. But before then, one important thing happened. 1983, when demands are made, Avaidinath I mentioned, other Mahants I mentioned. One, very serious thing happened. There was a judge in Allahabad High Court, very senior person called Devaki Nandan Agrawal. He retires. In 1983, he retired. When he retires, just before he retires, certain case files come to him related to this Janma Bhumi. There were more than a dozen different cases going on. In a title suits themselves, there were so many. But outside title suits, there were so many cases. So Babu Devaki Nandan Agrawal, the retired justice now retired, he got copies made before he retired. He copies made of thousands and thousands and thousands of papers, brought them home. And he says, this is my retirement project. Next 6 years, he studied the entire legal case and came up with, in 1989, 6 years, something really explosive. I mentioned P.N. Mishra, he did something legally explosive. I mentioned B.B. Lal, who did archaeologically explosive. But truly, history-changing, legally speaking, was Devaki Nandan Agrawal's argument. He filed a case in Allahabad High Court in 1989, saying that Bhagwan Ram himself wants this land. He is owner of this land. So on behalf of Bhagwan Ram Lala Virajman, first party, plaintiff, is Bhagwan Ram Lala Virajman. Second plaintiff is that land itself is also a party. That land is not a land, it's a Devata. Where Ram is born, that land is Devata. Second party, second plaintiff in that case. And third, friends of Bhagwan Ram. And I am the first of those friends. So Justice retired of Allahabad High Court, Babu Devaki Nandan Agrawal, filed that unique case. And defendants, wait a minute. He made defendants not only Muslims, also the Hindu parties. He's saying, who are they? Who is Bisharad? Does land belong to Bisharad? He can come and visit. Title suit, nobody can. Title, that is property owner, is only Bhagwan Ram. Not any Akhada, not any Sunni Waqf board, Shia Waqf board, nobody. Only Bhagwan Ram is the owner, title owner. And give the title to us. And in that case, he says that Bhagwan Ram is very unhappy with all this table tennis you are playing. And it was, like I said, legal history changing. So he was retired. He was a heart patient. Soon his health deteriorated. So he engaged a few very brilliant lawyers. One of them was Advocate General of UP. Advocate General was Chaudhary ji, V.K. Singh Chaudhary. Virendra Kumar Singh Chaudhary, who in front of him in his court had argued for government many times, right? And a friend of his, neighbor of his. He says, why are you wasting your retirement time in building a private practice? Do something big. Join me. So, Advocate General retired of Uttar Pradesh, Virendra Kumar Singh Chaudhary, and senior most judge, Justice Devaki Nandan Agrawal, retired from Allahabad High Court. These two legal brains started working on this case. That happened in 1983. Finally, case became solid in 1989. Then they went to court to file the case. Now, being a judge and advocate general, they knew legal fraternity. And there are many things which they would do from behind the scenes, right? So being a justice, he was not allowed to argue directly in front of his brother judges. He can't be a lawyer in your own case, where you have been a judge in the same court. So he hired other lawyers. Now let me ask you a quiz question, especially based on recent news and all you are watching. Who was the lawyer of Ram Lala in the cases, both in Supreme Court and High Court? No? No?
P.N. Mishra.
No,
High Court?
not P.N. Mishra, not in High Court, not in Supreme Court also.
Supreme Court.
No.
Parshuraman?
Huh?
Parshuraman?
Parasaran. not
Parasaran.
Parasa, sorry, Parasa.
You got half the answer, right? Supreme Court, yes. But 20 years the case was fought in High Court. Who was the chief advocate of Ram Lala in High Court? Who can tell me? I was hoping for an easy answer because that's what. Huh?
राम जी के मित्र.
हाँ, कौन है वो? उसका नाम क्या है? फ्रेंड्स तो देवकी नंदन अग्रवाल. बट लॉयर कौन है कोर्ट में जज के सामने खड़े होकर के कि आई एम एडवोकेट ऑफ राम लला, माई क्लाइंट इज राम लला हिमसेल्फ? वो कौन बोलता था? Ram Lalla has appointed.
Karnataka guy, I forgot his name.
Okay, you are right. You are right. You are right. But I was hoping for a wrong answer, which everybody is giving these days. Everybody says Ravi Shankar Prasad. His client was Suresh Das, Mant Suresh Das of Digambar Akhada. He was not Ram Lalla's lawyer. As a matter of fact, strictly speaking, he was fighting against Ram Lalla. Because Devkinandan Agarwal was the plaintiff of the case. Defendants were Akhadas, including Suresh Das. So Ram Lalla's lawyer was person A, I will name him. And lawyer of opposite side was Ravi Shankar Prasad, lawyer of other party, defendant party. Akhadas, he was fighting for Suresh Das. Now, who was the lawyer? There are two Karnataka people who have permanently written their name in this movement. One is Arun Yogiraj, because he is the made the new Ramlala Vigraha. So he permanently founded his name as
Vijayawar Swami, is it?
Huh?
Vijayawar Swami.
No? Another guess anybody wants to make?
The Acharya, he's died anymore. He's not anymore, but he was.
K.N. Bhatt.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
K.N. Bhatt is the name of the lawyer. He's from Mysore. A vakil from Mysore to come to Allahabad and Lucknow and fight the case, and he did. He didn't even charge money. It's not comfortable to travel so frequently from Mysore. Both Agarwal ji and Chaudhary ji, they were living in Allahabad. Case was being heard not in Allahabad, in Lucknow. Lucknow bench was hearing because Faizabad comes under Lucknow jurisdiction. So, in advanced age, he was in 70s. He used to travel to Lucknow by train. अब कितना कष्ट लेकर के वो केस लड़ा. No limelight, no glory. Most people don't even take names like Devki Nandan Agarwal. He's the one who created the case. So many sacrifices. Agarwal Sahab was heart patient, I told you, right? When the hearing was going on, his condition deteriorated. He couldn't move from his bed. So he appealed that I cannot come to Lucknow. Doctors don't allow me, otherwise I would come. Can you please do the hearing on my bedside? He court allowed. And he completed his hearing before he passed. He passed in 2002, if I'm not wrong, 2001 or 2002. Hearing was complete before he passed. He gave his complete testimony. So this was Agarwal Sahab. His daughter, he has one daughter, and she used to care for him. And she used to say that he was maniacally for this movement, legal. He must have, despite being a heart patient and having undergone surgery, even in hospital bed, he would have piles of papers. He'll wake up past midnight to study the papers, even in hospital. That was Devkinandan Agarwal, Bharat Ratna, truly. V.K.S. Chaudhary, Devkinandan Agarwal, P.N. Mishra, K.N. Bhatt. How many people talk about them? So K.N. Bhatt and Arun Yogiraj, these two Kannadigas, they have permanently written their name in the history of not general things being associated to Ramlala. Yogiraj is sculpture of Ramlala, and K.N. Bhatt is personal lawyer of Ramlala for many years, fighting the case. Now, who were the parties? I mentioned Ramlala himself in 1989 by Devkinandan Agarwal, whose lawyer is K.N. Bhatt. Then there was another party. There were actually 4 or 5 Hindu parties in this case. Fourth party, and very important party, and quite honestly, from historical perspective, if you read the order and the case file, the most important party that helped win the case is called Rama Janma Bhumi Punaruddhara Samiti, founded by Shankaracharya ji, and whose lawyer was P.N. Mishra. P.N. Mishra, Ranjana Agnihotri. Ranjana Agnihotri has gone on to become Supreme Court's very successful lawyer. P.N. Mishra, however, deserves special mention as a lawyer. So in Allahabad High Court, there is about 7,000 or 8,000 pages of total case file. Judgment itself runs into, I think, 3,000 or 4,000. Total judgment. Summary itself is 800 pages, etc. P.N. Mishra, You can imagine how much important he was. Hearing in the court happened for about 90 days. 90 days actual hearing happened between January and July of 2010. Out of 90 days, 50 days, the lawyers of Muslim party, Sunni Waqf Board, Shia Waqf Board, etc., they argued. Babri Masjid Action Committee. 50 days. 40 days, the Hindu party lawyers argued. I mean, these are the numbers you can see by the case diary. 40 days, Hindus argued, 50 days, Muslims argued. Within 40 days, 24 days, P.N. Mishra argued. So you have to give him lion's share. Not only coverage given, and now who decides? Judge decides. Because he shuts down somebody who is talking nonsense, right? P.N. Mishra in High Court got 24 days out of 40 days for all Hindu parties. When the case went to Supreme Court, Parasaranji took over the role from Bhattji. K.N. Bhatt transferred the case to Parasaranji, who was Solicitor General at one time. And he was advanced age, 80s. He was in his 80s. So Mishra ji says in his interviews, and Parasaran also acknowledges. So Mishra ji would go, Parasaran invited Mishra, come and meet me. He's big lawyer, he's small lawyer. He goes, touches his feet, Parasaran's feet. Parasaran says, hey Mishra, I read your arguments. Brilliant arguments. So I have taken over from Bhatt, but I don't want you to transition to somebody else in Supreme Court. Just contribution. Parasaranji allowed P.N. Mishra to be in the driver's seat. There were other lawyers also. R.L. Verma still went, Nirmohi Akhada, he was still represented, R.L. Verma. Muslims, they changed the lawyer. In High Court, their lawyer was Zafar Yab Jilani, the biggest. From his 20s, this guy, he's a Lucknow person, based person, he's fighting this case. And he died fighting this case in local Faizabad court. Then he himself went to Allahabad, then he went to Delhi. So Zafar Yab Jilani, up to High Court. In Supreme Court, Jilani was there, but they hired Dhawan, Rajiv Dhawan. Rajiv Dhawan was the main lawyer. Rajiv Dhawan was the main lawyer on Muslim side. Parasaran was also UPS counsel only. So why you single out Rajiv Dhawan as UPS counsel and not Parasaranji, who was also UPS counsel? Both were UPA counsel. But in this case, Parasaran fought on temple side, Dhawan fought on mosque side. Okay, both were UPA counsel only for many years. So don't say Dhawan was UPA, but Parasaran was not UPA. Parasaranji was also UPA only. He was never BJP. Okay. Now, P.N. Mishra. Then one more party, Hindu party. Hindu Mahasabha, Bisharat ji's case. Gopal Singh Bisharat, as Hindu Mahasabha, he had filed the case, and Hindu Mahasabha had been there. Who was the lawyer of Hindu Mahasabha in Allahabad High Court? Jain ji. So, H.S. Jain, Harishankar Jain, and his son Vishnu Jain, they were, I think his older brother also. They argued on behalf of Hindu Mahasabha. And then there were a couple of Mahants, local Ayodhya Mahants, who were also party, and there were other lawyers, M.M. Pandey, a couple of others.
Sarvesh ji? So this they wanted the whole land, is it? Like all these people?
Yep. It was title suit. So like I said, up to now, up to 1980, up to 1956, all the legal battle was about right to worship there. In 1956, for the first time, Hindu Mahasabha under Gopal Singh Bisharat filed a case of title suit. Remember this, that I own this property. And then others filed. And then Muslims also in 1961 filed. In 1989, Ramlala himself filed. And the fight then ultimately was about the land and the property, whatever, land and property. In 2010, that is what was decided. But before we go to 2010, we need to still go back to 1989. I said this has taken shape. Around the same time, Secular Historian Center, 1989. I said archaeology, even Muslims, quite honestly, up to that time, up to Congress time, Rajiv Gandhi time, Muslims were not serious about it. They were okay fighting, but were they serious? If you see, their arguments were weak. They were fighting. I'm not saying they were not fighting earnestly, but this much vitriol and all that didn't exist. They did not claim that Ayodhya is not real Ayodhya. They did not say up to this time that Ram was not born in Ayodhya. They were not saying anything like that. They were saying other little things, that it's a mosque, we have a right, Babar constructed it, those kind of arguments. But now, 1989, 90, 91, environment changed completely on Muslim side. Hindu side I mentioned. Muslim side something happened. VP Singh entered the limelight of politics, and truly secularism, all that started. And Mandal and secularism, these two were the main things. 1990 was the first time the Kar Seva happened. So I would stop here. There is a lot more to be said, but enough time I have taken. Kar Seva happened. Kar Sevaks I have seen from up close. In my grandfather's own home, Kar Sevak stayed. My school, I was in 10th grade, I was told you, right? My school was turned into jail. I used to study. Mulayam Singh was chief minister, Chandrasekhar was prime minister. Okay. So Kar Seva Vishwa Hindu Parishad had called for. A lot of people would come. But if you remember the map of Ayodhya I had shown, there is a river. On other side is Gonda. On this side is rest of Uttar Pradesh. So Mulayam Singh, he said, Parinda bhi par nahi maar sakta. Famous statement.
Let me say one conclusion.
So, Kar Sevaks came, I've seen the struggle. They would be caught, whoever comes. The trains would not stop in nearby stations. Trains would not stop. Buses would not ply. Roads were blockaded. No transport can come in other than emergency. But Kar Sevaks still came. And so much happened. Maybe some other time we can talk about it. Itne sare lawyers, so many activists, Kar Sevaks, whose names also we do not know. Let us just silently pray for them all. Oh, no. And somebody wants to add or ask or say something?
सर्वेश जी सर्वेश जी कर सेवा है कि कार सेवा है? क्यों कार सेवा बोलते हैं उसको?
कार्य सेवा से कार सेवा, कार्य सेवा। कर सेवा भी कह सकते हैं, पर कहते भी हैं, कर सेवा भी कहते हैं, पर this word कार सेवा came from कार्य सेवा, very old word in Hindi, कार्य सेवा, कार सेवा.
Okay. And second thing is this the first time that there was a Bhagwan who was the litigant?
No, there have been a few cases before also, but this was the first prominent case for sure. Devkinandan Agarwal in case file himself mentions a few cases in South India that where Bhagwan was a litigant before also. But it was for the first time that Janma Bhumi, land itself, is considered a juristic person. Because it was important. The court would have said, "ठीक है, भगवान आप ले लो, कहीं और जाके ले लो." But so land becoming a juristic person and filing a case was for
so in the Indian jurisprudence, this is a very unique feature, and that is the devata or the vigraha is a legal entity, and they have the same rights as anybody else, and this is only in India. So that's the reason.
Yeah, so this that is true, and that changed the direction of case in many ways. I don't think we have time. Maybe some follow-up we can do. Legal argument, how I gave you two examples. One was limitation, that Muslims lost right. Why did they not file case within 6 years? P.N. Mishra's argument. Another was very interesting. This Rama Janma Bhumi Punaruddhar Samiti. They said it's not even a mosque. Very solid argument. They said it's a temple. We are only wanting to replace an old temple with a new temple. It's not a mosque at all.
So it was never used as a mosque?
Not only never used as a mosque, they said it was never meant as a mosque. They're saying, so P.N. Mishra's argument is Jabardast argument. You should read P.N. Mishra's arguments in the case file. Thousands of pages. 24 days he continuously spoke. He said, are there any minarets in this mosque? What you're calling mosque? There's no minar. Show me another mosque where there is no minar.
Hmm.
Are there a place where waju is done, where you wash the hands?
Hmm.
Every mosque has a
Hmm.
place where hands and feet are washed.
Hmm.
Where is the... So if you... Third thing, for doing Ajan, there is a raised platform or minar or something. How does Ajan happen here? Or how was it meant to happen here? Show me that. Fourth thing, for every mosque, there has to be a waqif. Waqf. This is plural of waqif. Huh? Who is the waqif of this? Waqif is the owner, who then, not manager, Mutwalli's manager. Waqif is owner who then kind of passes on this property to the Muslim community. They said Babar. He said, okay, prove how it is Babar. How is it Babar? They couldn't prove. So, Sahanaji, important point to note, not only was it not used as a mosque, P.N. Mishra's argument was not even meant as a mosque. It was only meant to insult Hindus to stop them from worshipping. But Hindus did not stop their worship there. That's what his argument was. He even went to the extent of saying, Babar didn't destroy that mosque or temple. It was not Babar, it was Aurangzeb. And historically speaking, he has... See, archaeology now tells us that the temple which was destroyed supposedly by Babar was built in 12th century. Agreed? What was before there? Why was it built in that time? What was before then? Tell me. Something must have happened why it was built at that time, right? It didn't exist anything before then? Hindu legend is that Vikramaditya, Skandagupta Vikramaditya, Gupta emperor, he built in 5th century, 400 something. So what happened to that temple? Why it was again built in 12th century?
Maybe something like temple.
What? Say what?
They destroyed the
12th century.
They destroyed the Vikramaditya Mandir.
Ah, who?
Aurangzeb.
Aurangzeb was 16th century, 17th century. So one of them must have destroyed, but Hindus were still strong. They had not run over UP still. UP was run over afterwards. So this king, Gahalwad Rajput king, he reconstructed the temple, grand temple. And then what happened? Somebody in between must have again destroyed it. Before Babar. Not destroyed fully, but kind of... so there are some very, very unique legal and historical perspectives which are not fully settled by either Supreme Court or High Court.
It was called Babri Masjid.
So why it was called Babri Masjid is another topic. Because no historical record calls it Babri Masjid until late 1800s, early 1900s. All revenue records, all Muslim books, they refer to Masjid-e-Janmasthan. Where is this word Babari? Only British records show in 1800s, early 1900s. So this itself was a point P.N. Mishra raises. P.N. Mishra has some solid historical arguments. And a lot of other names we didn't mention. And I didn't mention Narasimha Rao himself. And Kalyan Singh.
Because they were Kalyan Singh.
Kalyan Singh and Narasimha Rao, these two people have a great role to play. If 6th December would not have happened, if that ugly structure would not have been destroyed, it is very hard for me to imagine that High Court or Supreme Court would have given this judgment. They would not give this judgment. So 6th December played a role. Who played a role in the 6th December? I have huge disagreement with general narrative. Those kind of things were there. So who did the 6th December is a big topic. People come now taking claim. In fact, there is a claim that came that Narasimha Rao paid money to a local person in Gonda. That guy is still in Gonda. To go and demolish that place. He said I took money not for me, to hire the people, professionals. I hired about 100 people, he got it done. This person is still around.
Prime Minister himself, he did.
Anyways.
What happened to K.K. Nair?
K.K. Nair, K.K. Nair, after the law, he fought the case. And he came to politics after that. He joined Jana Sangh. His wife, like I said, Hindu Mahasabha. At the same time, his wife was Hindu Mahasabha and he was Jana Sangh. They were all together. Ram Rajya Parishad also. They were all kind of... It was not like today where Hindutva means BJP. Not like that. There were many parties, many opinions. They were all Hindutva. So K.K. Nair, he led a happy, long life in politics. He represented many constituencies. He passed away in 70s. Yeah. He has a son. They have a son. He is still around. His son lives in UP. He adopted UP as his home. So, and UP adopted him as their representative. Both husband and wife, same time, represented two neighboring constituencies. Nair, I think Bahraich, and wife Kaisarganj.
His
Gonda.
driver was also one.
His driver also won at one time. Personal driver also won. Yeah, that is true. Okay, आप कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं?
Last में कहीं तो
बोलिए।
बैठे।
जी हाँ, हेलो।
प्रणाम भरत जी, बोलिए।
हाँ, नमस्कार। मैंने बहुत देर से ज्वाइन किया क्योंकि मेरे लिए ये मध्य रात्रि है तो मैं अधिकांश नहीं सुन पाया, लेकिन जो भी मैंने सुना, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी that you are giving this discourse, and I have just one small comment to make, that the role of the people who actually demolished the Babari structure, this has to be historically investigated and documented. You see that this is a very important exercise that we must take for the sake of historical truth, because you see, in the heat of events, or rather political events, any particular party may take credit and make hay while the sun shines, but then the whole history should not get distorted. It should be discovered, evidenced, and written down as it is. This is my comment. I can't make more personal statements for a very simple reason, that I was for about almost 20 years a very close junior friend of Narasimha Rao himself, from 89 to his death in 2006. But then making personal statements on my behalf have no historical relevance. It is actually a whole historical examination of the people, just as you mentioned one person. So that should be examined and brought to record.
जी जी, धन्यवाद आचार्य जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप सम्मिलित हुए। डॉक्टर एल्स्ट, प्लीज गो अहेड।
Yes, Archaeology. A few points. You asked who destroyed the temple first before the Rajput temple came up around 1100. In 1030, Ayodhya was conquered by Salar Masud Ghaznavi, who was the nephew of Mahmud Ghaznavi, and who was equally a great iconoclast. So, you know, adding one and one, you know, it's rather obvious that he's the one you're looking for. 3 years later, he was defeated by a Hindu alliance, including Raja Suheldev and the famous philosopher king Raja Bhoja in Bahraich, which is precisely where later K.K. Nayar would become the local parliamentarian. Then a second time, clearly it was destroyed during the Ghurid conquest, 1192-94, namely by, again, the nephew of Muhammad Ghori, namely Shazuran Ghori. Then after that, personally, I doubt that the temple was rebuilt because this was under the Sultanate regime. So probably you got a situation where a mosque was built and where whenever Hindus got a chance, they used it again like a temple, the way they did between 1949 and 92. And so against this, Babar may have played a role. You see, at the end of the Sultanate, with the chaos, Hindus managed to retake the site. And then Babar again made an end to this Hindu presence there. Hindus came back under Akbar, but didn't rebuild the temple. Then they were again chased out by Aurangzeb. Then they came again back. That's when Tiefenthaler describes Hindu festivals in Ayodhya. And it's around 1800. You see, all while the Mughal Empire was falling apart, you had a local Nawabi regime that was strong enough to make it a mosque again. And so that's about when this Kshatriya community put off their turbans and swore only to put them on again when the when the Rama temple was rebuilt. That's 9 generations. That's about 1800. Okay. Then there's a second thing. I merely want to thank you for detailing the attitude of the different Hindu organizations during the movement and especially around the time of the demolition. Because at the moment, there is a big debate going on with the BJP trying to grab all the honor to itself, which I think is quite undeserved. It's also good that you mentioned, apart from Kalyan Singh, you mentioned the role of Narasingha Rao, which is quite important. And for the attention of the last questioner, who was a friend of Narasingha Rao, I merely, for anecdote's sake, want to put on record that I met Narasingha Rao a few months before his death. And I told him that I was going to give him, that I was going to speak truth to power and that I was going to tell him what I thought of him. So I said, Mr. Rao, you are the best prime minister India ever had. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. LSG. And that would be a relevant point where I should plug this library. So all of you who are from Atlanta, this is a library called Saraswati Sadhana, which we hope to become soon kind of a center of learning and research and discourse and discussion about civilizational matters of Hindus. Here in front of me are books by Dr. Elst himself, who joins. One is Rama Janma Bhumi versus Babri Masjid. This book was inaugurated launched by L.K. Advani back in those days when battle was raging, and then Ayodhya and after, and then a few more books of his, as well as Sitaram Goelji's book, Hindu Temples, What Happened to Them, Arun Shoury's book here, Eminent Historians, using which he demolished these 4 big names who were misleading, actually, Muslim party leading them. So many other books relevant. There is Vishwa Hindu Parishad published a couple of books related to Rama Janma Bhumi back in those days. We have 1,000 books here and more coming. So please reach out, Saraswati Sadhana Granthalaya, become a member. And this kind of an exchange and discourse, non-emotional, hopefully informative, and that's where I would stop here. Rajivji, you want to add something about Saraswati Sadhana and Mata Darbar initiative?
Yeah, you have already mentioned the main purpose, but we do want people to become members and make use of it, both remotely as well as there in Atlanta area. So it will become a great place of learning and intellectual discourse over time. That's what's hoped.